This afternoon, we're on your side with if we're expecting more wet weather as we head into the middle of your week.
And plus, as that wet weather continues, we bring the weather extra on hydroplaning and how you can stay safe on the wet roads.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
But we begin with this time lapse of a shelf cloud that was moving over Hueytown. This was taken by storm spotter Ryan Carty during the storms yesterday evening. We've seen a lot of that this week, Matt, but very ominous view there, but always incredible, just to see weather in motion. And we've seen a lot of photos like that. A lot of us have had to, working in the yard, all of a sudden, time to seek shelter.
Yeah, they look like spaceships, they're coming right at you.
You always think about Independence Day.
Exactly.
The big ships come in.
Yeah, but it's just wind and rain usually, and then lots of lightning with those storms.
I always say all bark and a lot of times no bite, but we do sometimes see severe storms with those shelf clouds move in, and we were tracking some storms earlier today. Let's get into the next big thing, this setup, Matt, that we've been dealing with here. We've just got this west to southwest flow, and we've been dealing with we got a lot of tropical moisture in place. And these storms, with the heating of the day, they fire up, and then once the storms happen and we cool off, then the storms dissipate. And it's been like clockwork. We had that today, and there was some rain around Jacksonville. You can see the roads there starting to dry up. We've had some showers in East Alabama, and where it's still raining there, Cleburne, parts of Cherokee County, that's going to gradually taper off. Starting to see that right now. Notice how cool it is compared to earlier today. Right now showing 69 at Center, 72 here at Anniston, 73 at Pell City. From Coleman, Birmingham to Alabaster and Shelby County, we're in the low 70s. And back to the west, one area where we had a chance to heat up again, because as we talked yesterday, we got the storms in sooner today, so we had a chance for the temperatures to rebound back into the upper 70s, low 80s far northwest, and that's where we got some storms right there around Hamilton. But now that the storms have popped up, cooled things off, now you can see those storms are settling down. But a little bit of leftover rain right there along that Highway 13 corridor between Bear Creek and Haleyville, so still a little bit of rain if you're north of Double Springs, giving you the first alert. But over the next 60 minutes, looks like we're on the downhill stretch. There's a chance, there's a couple leftover showers moving through Sumter County. Still can't rule out maybe some light rain, not expecting any severe storms, but maybe a leftover shower could reach us here in Tuscaloosa County before falling apart. But overall, the general trend here past 7, 8 o'clock tonight, all the showers and storms will come to an end across our area. But it's another night with muggy conditions out there, lows in the 70s. Now tomorrow, that sunshine starts to break through those morning low clouds. We heat up, it gets hot, it gets steamy. Storms will be likely during the afternoon tomorrow and again on Thursday, so plan for that. And then by Friday, we still see the chance for rain to back off in coverage. It doesn't go completely away. We'll still have some isolated storms, but the heat builds. The heat index could top 100, it looks like, for Friday and into Saturday. So we got an upper ridge later on this week, and you can see the reflection in those rain chances as we move ahead by Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday. But the thing is even though it's a 20% chance of rain, even an isolated storm can still produce some of those damaging wind gusts and some intense lightning. So make sure you're keeping an eye on the First Alert Weather app if you're heading out to the lake, to the pool, rock to south, some of those events coming up for this weekend. Well, what we want to do right now is talk a little bit about some of these power outages across the region. And you can see look at Georgia right there, thousands of customers without power from some of those storms that have moved through yesterday across the state of Alabama and across our area. We did have several counties, Tuscaloosa and Jefferson County. We had thousands of customers without power, but you can see that number has greatly improved. So today, with respect to power outages, the storms not quite as impactful across our area, although there are still, as you can see, some scattered reports across the state of Alabama. But Matt, looks like the storm's settling down tonight. Got to watch tomorrow, though. We could see more of this. Make sure you have those mobile devices charged.
Yeah, that's right, Wes. And when it comes to all the heavy rain that we've been dealing with, we've had a lot of aerial flood advisories. One of our producers, Jeremy, sent video in to the Weather Service letting them know about the intense heavy rain and all the water that was on the roadways. So we want to make sure you stay safe when it comes to driving, especially during your morning commute and your evening commute. Obviously, when the roads are dry, tires make complete contact with the road, no major issues. But when you have the wet conditions, wet roads, you lose that contact, and that's where you have to deal with that hydroplaning. So it's all about how much water wraps around that wheel. So we always say slow down. So if you slow down, you're going to have at slower speeds, you're going to have least water return. So you're going to have more control over your vehicle. But if you're going at a moderate speed, let's say the speed limit's 40 and you're going about 40 miles per hour, yeah, we're looking at more of that water moving around that, and you're just going to start having a little bit of issues there on the roadways. But if you're speeding at a pretty fast rate and you got lots of water on the underside of your tire, you're getting all that wrapped around, and that's when you're going to have loss of control of your vehicle. So that's why we always say turn your lights on, leave as much space between you and the vehicle in front of you, and slow it down. Well, taking you across the country now to other places seeing severe weather today. This is in Kansas as a powerful storms cause flooding, down trees, and power outages. Wichita Dwight D. Eisenhower National Airport reporting 101 mile per hour wind gusts. Incredible. The electric utility said upwards of 150 linemen and vegetation management workers from neighboring states are traveling to the Wichita area to help. And to our east, residents in West Virginia beginning the cleanup process after torrential rain caused deadly flash flooding over the weekend. Fox News multimedia reporter Asher Red has more from Fairmont, West Virginia.
The death toll from the flash flooding in West Virginia has now risen to 7, and the search for 2 missing people continues as recovery efforts get underway.
We're just trying to see what's salvageable and what's not, and just start the rebuilding process.
Officials say part of West Virginia got up to 4 inches of rain within just 30 minutes on Saturday night. Then the region was slammed with more storms Sunday night, all made worse by the region's mountainous terrain.
We never dreamed, and neither have any of my neighbors, that we would see anything like this. It came up very, very fast.
It's just a really surreal feeling and shocking how just within minutes it was just complete disaster.
High rushing water took down an apartment building Sunday. Residents had only minutes to evacuate. Fortunately, everyone made it out safely before its collapse. West Virginia's governor says over 60 residences, 25 businesses, and 30 routes have been impacted. He says the state is working with FEMA as local crews step up to task.
We've been talking with FEMA. They're working closely with our office.
It's going to take a lot of cleaning supplies and a lot of support from the locals. I'd say it'd take a good month to get everything cleaned up and back in tip-top shape.
Meantime, San Antonio officials have now launched an official investigation into the flooding caused by the same storm system last week that killed 13 people. The flood risk for West Virginia isn't over yet, as forecasters are predicting more rain and thunderstorms throughout the week. In Fairmont, West Virginia, Asher Red, Fox News.
30 seconds, we talk about if you should keep that umbrella handy as you head to the events this week, and we take you beyond the atmosphere to a never-before-seen sight. We'll see you after the break. All right, these summer days like this, which I know Friday's the official start of summer season, but we always count June, July, and August as meteorological summer. But this time of the year, when these storms pop up, you have sunshine, it's almost hard to believe it's the same day, right? You get some stormy weather, and in some cases, you have blinding rainfall, and then within an hour, the sun's back out. But the rain has tapered off, it's cooled things off, and now chances of wet weather coming to an end. There's a little bit of wet weather trying to push into far southwest areas, some leftover showers, but that's kind of falling apart. If it holds together, might see a shower in Greene and Tuscaloosa County. But the rain coverage the next 6 days, next 2 days, certainly tomorrow and Thursday, we see of widespread scattered storms. A good chance by the afternoon, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, see the coverage. It's more isolated, so some of us will stay completely dry during that stretch there, and the heat index will be topping 100 degrees, so it's going to feel very hot, very steamy. Still a few isolated storms, but just not as many of those showers. But now with the rain falling apart tonight, if you are heading out to catch the Barons out at Regions Field this evening, well, we're getting close to first pitch time, but you can see those rain chances are coming to an end. I actually updated that forecast and just took the rain chance out of there for tonight. But let's go ahead and talk about tomorrow, because storms will be likely as we go into the afternoon and evening. So we got to watch it again. I still think tomorrow, like today, we'll get a lot of this wet weather in earlier in the afternoon. So hopefully, you know, that means an earlier end time for those showers and storms tomorrow night. But just check the weather app. Stay alert for that threat of lightning. I know, Matt, we have a lot of events coming up over the weekend, and lightning is going to be a big concern, even with isolated storms.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Barons are actually making up another game tomorrow, so they're going to have two, and they're making it up because of other rain from previous storms. So we'll be watching it closely. Of course, you got Birmingham Legion Soccer. They've got a match there tomorrow evening at Protective Stadium. Same idea. There could be some storms we'll have to watch out for. Temperatures maybe in the lower 80s at 7 o'clock, cooling in the 70s. Of course, we get rain before that. It may just be like to this evening, where you just stay cloudy and temperatures holding steady in the 70s. Of course, we've got the big event in Coleman, the Rock the South. I know a lot of people from around the country going into this concert, and it starts Thursday and continues through Saturday. And unfortunately, Thursday, as Wes has been mentioning, still looking pretty unsettled. We'll have a system start to make its way into the state, and that may continue to enhance those storm chances. So definitely want to monitor your First Alert weather app for Thursday. But I do have some good news. Friday into Saturday, it looks significantly drier. But the problem with it being drier is we'll see more sunshine, and that could give way to lots of heat. So we're looking at upper 80s getting close to 90 Friday in Coleman, and then Saturday to lots of sunshine, but low 90s, and it's still going to be very muggy. So be mindful of that. And oh, by the way, we also have the Coca-Cola amphitheater. We're starting it up this Sunday, and that's looking pretty dry. Of course, this forecast could still change as we get a little bit closer towards the weekend, but looking forward to seeing lots of events there this summer. But check this out. This is right beyond the atmosphere. Is a new historic view of the red planet. A Mars orbiter capturing this image of the Arsia Mons volcano, which is about twice as tall as the highest volcano here on Earth. It's the first image of a volcano on the horizon of Mars, and it's the most southernmost and cloudiest in a line of 3 volcanoes. That is so cool. And don't go anywhere. We share some of your weather photos from today's storms, and we're going to take you to the skies, where we talk about a new initiative that will help save the planet one flight at a time. We'll be right back with more Weather Extra.
Hey, welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Well, if you saw a cloud like this yesterday, this was shared by Randy Cash from Twitter. It's a scud cloud moving through during yesterday's storms. And Matt, you know, scud clouds, we call those the tornado lookalikes. They can look quite ominous, but they are harmless.
You know, by a still image like that, you might assume that could be a tornado. But obviously, you got to look for the rotation, right?
Exactly.
And when you see those scuds, they're not rotating. They're just kind of just hanging there from the cloud base, right?
Yeah, and sometimes you'll see clouds kind of rolling along. You get that rain-cooled air, and a lot of pictures like what we saw yesterday. We've had a lot of shelf cloud photos that you shared with us as well. A lot of pictures on the First Alert Weather app. Brianna Galliant sharing this storm, and this was in Galliant, actually towards Chandler Mountain. So this was from today, Matt, as some of those storms moved in.
Impressive, and this is clouds right here in St. Clair County. And these are all from today, and we've got a lot of them through the app.
Yeah, Haley Collins sharing this storm in Oxford. You see that very low shelf there, though. You see that in these very tropical, moist environments. That cloud formation happens. Looks rather ominous, sometimes associated with severe storms, but not always with severe storms. But that low base often associated with these moist conditions out there, but doesn't necessarily mean tornado. If you do see that, certainly it's a good warning from nature to get inside. Leanne Blair sharing these storms yesterday from Clay County. Look at the lightning. It's been fierce over the past several days. I mean, it's been intense.
She's been sharing that a lot to us through X. And then Amanda Boggs with the clouds before the storm. Just very, and there's another shelf cloud right
look
there.
At that. Now there you go, Matt. You were talking about the mothership cloud.
Yes,
yeah, like
definitely.
Independence Day. And there you go, cloud to ground lightning. Kimmy shared this. This was actually earlier today out at Briarfield. And you know, you get those alerts on the weather app. So that's one of the things that it doesn't have to be a severe storm for lightning.
Yeah, and then this is Jackie Reynolds storms in Holly Pond. So lots of them. You know, yesterday it was raining and it was sunny at the same time in Birmingham. And I'm like, surely it's evening, sunny, rain. We might even see some rainbows. And I know we're going to get some of those images as well. Right. So continue to share them. You will see them right here on Weather Extra, Wes.
That's right. So let's talk about, Matt, what's on the way for tonight. And that's one of the tricky parts. You know, you mentioned sunshine and you have rain falling, and just know if you hear thunder, even if the sun's shining where you are in range to be struck by lightning, so you need to be indoors. All right, I've got a first alert for you just in. Today makes day number 32 of the last 48 where we have measured rainfall. So we are soaked, we are saturated, and there is more on the way. As we look ahead to tomorrow, we have a first alert for more showers and storms. Now, everything's settling down for today. There was one little pocket of rain from a leftover pop-up over Sumter and Greene County, and that's going to be falling apart as that moves in, but it might hold together long enough to maybe reach parts of Tuscaloosa County. So just don't be surprised if there's still maybe a brief shower this evening, but we're on the improvement here. We're on the downhill slope as far as the rain chances for today. Now tomorrow we start out with some clouds. Notice that's 8 o'clock in the morning. See how the model shows maybe a couple pop-ups to the south. It won't take long again for tomorrow for these storms to start popping up during the day. Now this one model, this is the IBM, just one of the high resolution models. We have all those high resolution models here in house, and we take a close look at that. And the one thing we do see is afternoon and evening, I think every location tomorrow where we're going to heat up, we're going to have the humidity, these storms will be popping. So odds are most locations will see a passing shower or storm before the day's over tomorrow. Just know there will be plenty of breaks again, and the heat builds during the afternoon. We're watching, that's Wednesday. Let's take it on into Thursday. Notice one more round, and this actually shows the possibility of maybe something more organized with some of these storms dropping in from the northwest. We could issue a first alert weather day if we do see an increasing risk for severe storms there Thursday, but a day that we're watching, big day, holiday, Juneteenth. We got Rock to South kicking off, a lot of events coming up, so we'll be closely monitoring that forecast. But looking ahead, after that, the next big thing will be the building heat index into the triple-digit range by the weekend. Rain chances don't totally go away, but you'll see here on the 10-day forecast that we do have isolated storms with highs in the 90s, overnight lows in the 70s. But it looks like that trend with those scattered afternoon storms, That is going to stick around as we go into next week as well. But Friday, we do have summer officially arriving. So we got those 90-degree temperatures right on track. Overnight lows in the 70s. I mentioned this earlier, Matt. Of course, we're in our longest day. Sunset time tomorrow, 8 o'clock. So we've reached that time of year.
Yep, and then by this weekend, it starts to shrink. Yep, that's what's going to happen.
Don't say it.
I'm sorry. You won't notice it until like September, October. Anyways, here's what we're looking at with your temperature outlook, looking beyond the 7-day. And are you really surprised you're seeing red colors in late June? Yeah, this is for late June, July 1st. Red meaning confidence is increasing for temperatures to be above average. So for your average high is about 89, 90 degrees. It may be a few degrees warmer than that, so it's looking pretty toasty as we finish out the month of June. And the odds of seeing rain, slightly above average. We don't see signs of extremely wet weather, so I guess that's good after the statistic that Wes just gave us for how much rain we've been seeing almost each and every day. And also keeping a close eye on the tropics. There's a pretty intense hurricane that's going to be forming in the eastern Pacific, but over the next 7 to 10 days, it remains very quiet. And looking beyond that, in 2 weeks, from June 25th to July 1st, if we see anything forming, it's going to remain in the eastern Pacific. So right now, you know, the Atlantic's remaining pretty quiet thanks to some dry air and dust. So that is some good news right there. Well, we're taking you to the skies now as scientists are trying to grow solutions to help save the environment during commercial flights, which could also be big business for Minnesota farmers. Aaron Hassan Day explains how a tiny seed could solve a big problem.
And this one's still kind of in the middle of flowering.
Here at the U of M research fields, the sun shines on a solution in bloom.
Yeah, this is an ancient crop.
It's called camelina.
It's similar to canola, so it produces oil, but unlike canola, it survives a Minnesota winter.
The seeds can be refined into cooking oil and further refined into sustainable aviation fuel.
There have been flights using camelina fuel. Sole camelina fuel.
Researcher Matthew Ott is part of the team perfecting the crop for prime time. Something to stand up to Minnesota winters that farmers will flock to.
Powerful little plant.
Yeah, and economic too.
They're tiny seeds, but they could have a huge impact. The U.S. Department of Energy says sustainable aviation fuel could cut emissions by up to 94%.
And airlines want to cut emissions. Globally, flying accounts for nearly 3% of our air emissions, but the industry wants to get to net zero carbon emissions by 2050, with airlines like Delta aiming to use 10% sustainable fuel by 2030.
This could be a major industry for Minnesota.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We're kind of the leader on developing it as a winter crop.
Farmers across the state are piloting the product right now. Some tell us they use it as a cover crop and love that they can grow a second crop on the same land during the same season.
The camelina pods can be harvested over the top of the soybean seedlings.
Ott says it also helps prevent runoff of farming fertilizers, improving our water quality.
Yeah, there's a bee right there.
And the early bloomers provide nourishment for critical pollinators.
Yeah, it grows fast.
And many are hoping the industry will too.
We're early in the process, but we're scaling up.
Okay, well, the wet weather, Matt, starting to settle down. I was noticing there's one little shower not far from Tuscaloosa, but that's about it.
Yeah, definitely a different picture now compared to what 4 hours
Right.
ago. So definitely seeing some improvement, but it's just a rinse and repeat pattern.
That's right. And tomorrow, just watch out again. The big story is the intense cloud to ground lightning. Maybe a few strong to severe storms. Out of all that today, we had just 2 or 3 severe thunderstorm warnings. So we're watching it for you. We'll have plenty of updates on that timing for tomorrow.